Hey guys, and down here, this is going to be my chapter review to One Punch Man 104 Superhuman. So, what do we learn this chapter? I think this is going to be a very short review. Possibly my shortest One Punch review ever. So, look forward to that, I suppose. But what did we learn from this chapter? Well, this chapter, our kind of disciple trio encounter one of the last few demon level monsters, Devil Longhair. And this was pretty cool. I thought Devil Longhair was pretty unique. And it's here that we learned that Okamai Itachi has a history of falling in love with four monsters at like first sight, just getting like a really heavy crush on them, who are good looking. So any monster which is like humanoid and good looking, she instantly like gets a crush for, and she does this in this chapter. And yes, Okamai Itachi is a she. That's kind of confirmed this chapter. They refer to her as she multiple times. So she does a good job, I felt, of controlling herself. And I love how she rejects Devil Longhair, even though he never actually hit on her or anything. He's just there like, what are you rejecting me for? And she's like, oh, our love cannot be, and shit like that. I was like, what? But it's pretty funny. I enjoyed that. And to be fair, there were quite a few funny parts in this chapter. And what I enjoyed mostly through this kind of interaction with Okamai Itachi, Devil Longhair, and stuff like that is we see Iain's leadership, which both Bushido and Okamai Itachi respect, and they don't really loathe him for it. They don't have any kind of negative feelings or emotions towards him because of his leadership over them, or like not really his dominion over them, but he is the kind of the main one out of them. He's the chosen one essentially, and they don't have any resentment or anything like that towards him. They feel him as the leader, and they totally vibe that, and it's cool with him. So like I really enjoy that, and it's always cool to see good leadership characteristics within a character. So a character who's innately able to lead, not just because like he attracts people like Luffy, but because he is actually a very good leader. He's good at what he does, and he has that kind of what's the word? He has that. It's not enigma. It's another one. He has that. It's on the floor of my brain, tip of my tongue, but he has that. He has that leadership quality, but also the fact that they all know that they're simply there to lighten the load for not just their master, but the other more highly ranked heroes. I like the fact that they know their job and they know the purpose that they've come here for. At this point, we see Okamai Itachi's Hikuken, which is a wind scythe spawned from slicing the air with like an immense amount of strength. And I liked how Bushido actually acknowledges that his fellow disciple has this skill which he could simply never pull off. This is what makes them all so different and unique as not just characters but as warriors. And Bushido has the nuts to say, I would never be able to do something like that. Just like Okamai Itachi, if Bushido were to pull off one of his like techniques or something unique to him, Okamai Itachi would probably be along the lines of, I could never do that in a million years. That's Bushido's forte, that's his domain. Anyway, Devil Longhair then shows us his capabilities, stopping the Hikuken with his hair. Devil Longhair's facial design gives me a very Legolas-like feel. I mean, like, I've been talking about Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones a lot in my reviews as of late, but at the end of Return of the King, when Legolas has that kind of hairpiece, that kind of makes him look very elegant and royal at the same time. Devil Longhair has that exact same ornate style hairpiece / crown thing, and he looks kind of royal because of it, and his face just looks insane. And then he has that kind of darkened hair as well, so it looks pretty cool. But then he has that kind of corset fishnet across his chest and his thigh-high leather boots. His design kind of gives me different feelings the more we go down, and they're not good feelings. I'm just like, you look like an awesome high elf royal type character from the face, and then the more you go down, it's like red light district, but the wrong kind of red light district. So I thought his design was cool, but it's like conflicting. Also, the fact that he keeps spitting out these, I should put that on silent, but the fact that he keeps on spitting out these philosophical idioms makes me laugh, especially because Iain notices these two, and he's kind of getting put off by it. He's like, this guy's a threat, but he's popping out with these corny lines. I'm not sure what to make of him. Like, is he a threat? Is he not? What's going on with him? So, but then Devil Longhair goes to show exactly how dangerous he is, almost actually impaling Okamai Itachi with some hair he dug through the ground. And this actually reminded me of that scene. I think there's a character called Flare in Fairy Tail, and she had like the same abilities Devil Longhair, able to control her hair and lengthen it and stuff like that. She was fighting against Lucy in the Grand Magic games. Long story short, she dug it like through the ground, threatened one of the Fairy Tail members, and Lucy was unable to fight because of that. That's what this reminded me of. So Bushidrill's awareness here is like 100 over 9,000. He literally saves his companion's life. He saves Okamai Itachi's life, and Iain once again sees this and takes charge, notifying his team of the capabilities he assumes the monster has. Devil Longhair. He's like, all right, this is what he can do. He can probably strangle, he can probably break, he can impale, all that good stuff. And he then goes on to give a more detailed breakdown of what he's observed in terms of, he's like, the hair is thin, but it's really strong. It's got like, it's Buzo Shokunohaki clad or something like that, and it's strong enough and thin enough to get between the joints in our armor and cause some real damage, even though Okamai Itachi and Bushidrill don't actually wear armor, so far as I know. So the disciples then display another impressive ability here, their ability to follow Devil Longhair's attacks more accurately by closing their eyes and simply just trailing and following the bloodlust, feeling the bloodlust. So this is super impressive to me, considering that it's a skill all three of them possess, but also because it shows just how skilled they are, simply relying on their reflexes and their spidey senses, essentially like just tingling and reacting in kind. And that's a very difficult skill to achieve. It's a very high level of mastery you have to achieve in order to have autonomous reactions like that. I mean, like you'll have autonomous reactions anyway, instilled in like most humankind, like touching a flame, you'll pull your hand back unless the nerve endings in your fingers are dead or something like that. But this type of reaction is more along the lines of having practiced something over and over and over and over and over and over again. So you build up that autonomy, and then it becomes something that you've mastered, and it becomes you don't even have to process it mentally. Really, it just automatically occurs, which is why you see all these sports people who are amazing at what they do. And it also shows how confident they are in the speed of their reflexes, which reflects how well their master has honed their reflexes, has trained them to have these sharp ass reflexes. So as the continuous waves of Devil Longhair's hair eventually overruns the three disciples, Iain flashes back to a question he'd asked of his master, of if there were a situation where he encounters a monster so great and powerful that he could do nothing to stop it. What would Atomic Samurai do in that situation? Atomic sips his tea and he simply replies with, I'd have to surpass my human limits. And I was like, that's a good response, but it also brings up the question of, if you surpass your limitations as a human, what does that make you? Now, it sounds very philosophical and stuff like that, but for the intents and purposes of this manga, you'd still be human. But I'll let you guys kind of dwell on that thought of just outside of this manga. If you surpass your limitations as a human, what does that make you, depending on what limitations you're defining? Now, hyping himself and his crew up, Iain reminds them that they must continue to chase after the S-Class heroes, biting at the heels of these heroes and approaching them as quickly as they can, with as much kind of integrity and respect as they can in themselves and in their training, in order to kind of push themselves further and to become the S-Class heroes that they want to become. And with this, he and his fellow disciples leap towards Devil Longhair, Iain at the fore, obviously ready to dish out some hurt. So I thought that was a really good way to kind of sum up that. But to be honest, what do you guys think is going to happen? Who do you guys think will win? I personally think that the disciples will struggle and someone will come to help them, maybe an S-Class hero. But then that also means that the disciples weren't able to defeat the two demon-class monsters that they've been pitched against, which would be a bit shitty for them. I think that they should be able to do something like that. So the chapter ends with some monsters in the middle of a fight, with Puri Prisoner getting ready to lay people out. I'm ready for this. I'm ready for Puri. I think he'll kick some major ass. The issue is, if he meets the other inmates, will he cold-heartedly kill them, or will he not? I mean, like, it's not really within Puri to do something like that. But if Nyan turns up, I think Puri's going to have to make an executive decision, and I think he'll go for kicking the shit out of everyone instead of dying himself or anything like that. I mean, like, it's Puri Prisoner, bro. I'm ready for him. He's gonna kick some ass. So let me know what you guys thought of this chapter. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Let me know what you guys thought of this review. Either tomorrow, Wednesday, sometime this week, myself, Grim, Zonin, Satsuki, Matt, Blast, we should all be jumping in. Kishin, we should all be jumping in. I hope I haven't forgotten anyone, but we should all be in the podcast. So stay tuned for that. Get ready for that. There's always bound to be some shit going on in that podcast, because Puri Prison is going to be there. So definitely, if you want a kind of more freestyle review, it's essentially a large ass review, but if you want a more freestyle, it's a review / conversation. It's more it's more conversational conversation about this chapter. Definitely go check that out, and more than anything, you'll be entertained. So defo check that out. And that's about it. So I'll see you guys hopefully when Taizai drops, or whenever that does drop. So that's about it. See you guys in a bit.